Hi, my name is Sam. You're welcome back to the GS Human Resource Manager tutorial video on performance management. Today, I'll be going through the setups in continuation from where we stopped here earlier on. And today I'll be setting up these major things in the performance management setup. I will be doing the KPI to job grade, point settings, grade settings, and I would also be setting up the appraisal cycle. Let's start with the KPI to job grade setups. Remember earlier on we did KPI category and we also looked at the KPI, setting up KPIs themselves. Now, if you have not seen this, you can check up with the GS HRM playlist and you will see this on the playlist. After setting up the KPI category and the KPIs that employees will be assessed on or appraised on, next step is to map the KPIs to the job grades. This allows the application to know what particular objectives to present or to assess each employee on. For example, if Mr. A is a manager, the application needs to know what particular objectives to assess the manager on. To do this, we would have to do a mapping here. To do the mapping, remember, the moment you have actually uploaded or added in your KPIs, all that enters into the database. And from that point, you can do a KPI mapping to job grade. But you can't do this until you have uploaded or added the key performance indicators. To map, you navigate to HR admin and you come to performance and you come to KPI to job grade. And the moment I click on that, this comes out. What do you do at this point? Remember, I created 3 different KPI categories or KPI types: core values, work objectives, and 360 degrees. To map, you click on this plus sign. And the moment you click on the plus sign, it comes out with a mapping table. And this allows me to map to any job grade. So for example, let's assume I want to map for job grade 9. Under core values, I have this initiative, integrity, leadership, ownership, performance, and teamwork as the KPIs that I've uploaded into the KPI category core value. And under work objective, remember, while doing work objective together, I uploaded do work well. You can check up with the video on the KPI, uploading KPIs. I created do work well or do well at work. Now, all this comes out the moment you come here. You select the KPI, the job grade, then you can start mapping. So for example, let me start with the core value. Let's assume core value in the total KPI framework takes about 30%. So let's assume I click on 30% here and I say it takes 30%. The meaning of that is that the remaining 70% would have to be allocated between work objective and 360 degrees for this job grade. So I come here and I can navigate by clicking on this and moving it to the next, moving it to the mapped competencies, or I can just click on this and it moves everything right into the map. So I'm going to map based on which competencies are required or objectives are required from this particular job group. When I'm done doing that, I click on save and update. And the moment I click on save and update, that is mapped into the competency mapping. And from this point, the employee automatically, the moment he logs in and goes to his objective, all these competencies are there waiting for the person to set in objectives tying to these competencies. Now, this is how to do a mapping to job grade. When you have done this for all the job grades in the company, then we are almost set to start using the application. I move on to the next one, like I said, and the next one is the point setting. Think about it this way. For each of these competencies, I need to be able to determine if Mr. A has done better than Mr. B. And how do I do that? I do that with the points. However, this application allows you to determine any kind of point definition. So I've actually set up a couple of them here: unsatisfactory, fair, solid, outstanding, exceptional. The most important thing here is that the ranking starts from number 1 to any number you would have. Let's assume we want to create a new ranking, and we click on the plus button. The moment I click on the plus button or the add button, I'm able to bring in the point name. So let us assume the point name is too poor. The point is 6. Remember, I stopped on number 4 there, and the point name is too poor. What's the description? Deserving immediate suspension. And I just click on the save and update. And the moment I do this, this is saved into the table. I can see what I saved even before I navigate away, so that I can actually make any correction that I need to make before navigating away. Now, the moment I've done this, this is added up as part of the appraisal point definition. So this is my appraisal point definition. Now, the other one here is the grade setting. Now, think of it this way, that and to get to the grade setting, I navigate to HR admin, performance settings, and I come to grade settings. Think of it this way, that now we have appraised the employee, and the employee scored 80%. The grade definition is a way of telling how the employee has done on an aggregate level. For example, on all of the KPIs, the aggregate of all the KPIs has come up to 80% for him. So I could say 80% is very good or excellent. I could say 80% is outstanding performance. I could say 80% is any other thing that you use in the company. This is where you make that definition, and you tell the application the minimum score, the maximum score, and the grading. In addition, you also put a description so that people that will be given these grades, or people that will be looking at these grades and reviewing these grades, will understand the meaning of these grades. To do a new one, you can just click on the plus button, the add button, and you will be able to add a new grade definition for the grades anybody has scored. The moment you've done that, you just type the name and you type the minimum score, the maximum score, the description, and you can just do a save. The moment you save that in, we'll have it immediately in the application. Like I said earlier on, I'll be taking us through the KPI to job grade definition, the point setting, the grade setting. The next point is to set up the appraisal in the setup or the settings. Now, you can create your appraisal cycle. Some companies, for example, would have 4 appraisal cycles in a year. Some other companies have only 2 appraisal cycles. Some companies would have only 1 appraisal cycle, while some companies could actually have 12 appraisal cycles. This application allows you to set multiple appraisal cycle per company. To do that, I navigate to HR admin, performance, and in performance I click on appraisal, and from appraisal I click on appraisal cycle. Right within this appraisal cycle, I can create a new cycle. Now let's come here. I have one for 2020, but I'm going to delete this one for 2020 so that we can create a new one together. So I click on this and I delete. So I've deleted the 2020 so that we can create it together. Now, because this particular person here is a super user, the person can actually create for ABC Group, ABC Software, Finance, and other companies, but we're only going to create for ABC Group. So to create a new appraisal cycle, the first thing, the moment I clicked on the appraisal cycle, I can see a list of all of the appraisal cycles, the ones that have ended and the ones that are still existing. So I come here and I click on the add button. The moment I click on the add button, the application opens for me an appraisal cycle form where I'll be able to tell the application what to do. What's the calendar range? I said the calendar range is 1st January to April. Let's assume, or to March. Let's assume we do March 2020. The company name is this. Review year is 2020. So I come here and I click on 2020. Start date. The period will commence 1st of January and end March 31. Due date. Due date here effectively means when do you expect them to be done, with putting in their feedbacks. I say, oh, in our company, we expect you to be done 1 month after that. So I put 30th of this. Now the weight is very flexible. So let's assume we have the employee reviewing himself as a within self-assessment, and he has the first level reviewer and the second level reviewer. We can decide to say the only rating that counts is the line manager's feedback points. If we are going to do that, that means that on the reviewer weight, I'm going to put 0. On the reviewer 2 weight, I'm going to put 0. And on the reviewer 1 weight, which is presuming at this point going to be the line manager, I'm going to put 100. Meaning the total score of the employee, of the line manager for the employee, should be the only one that will stand. However, in a situation where we want to weight between what the employee has scored for himself or has given himself while going through the self-assessment, and we say, oh, we also want to use the point setting or the points that the employee has given himself to aggregate the total score, then we can come here and say, oh, for example, we'll do 50% here and we also do 50% here. The most important thing is that the weight must be equal to 100%. So I'm going to leave it at 100%, meaning that only the line manager's review points will be used in coming up with the aggregate score for each of the employees. And the moment I've done that, I come and I click on open. And the moment I've done that, I just click on save and update. And the moment I do save and update, the period also I've already created, that period cannot run in between. So I've already created one. So let us do it back so that you can see why it has actually given us this message. So here I have created one for January to this point. So I'm going to delete this too. Okay, so this is created already. So this is what I just created. Now, the moment I've created this, Sam White created it, no form generated yet, no notification sent. To send a notification for everybody to know that objectives can now, people can now go in and set the objectives, I click on the send objective alert. To copy objectives from previous period into a new period for all the employees within the company in such a way that they wouldn't have to go and do a new objective form, I can click on copy previous objective, and automatically it copies all of the objective from previous period into a new period. And when I click on send feedback alert, it goes and sends alert to everybody to go and do their feedback. So that is what we have just created. Now, and lastly, the moment we have set this, for the 360 degrees, assuming that 360 degrees will be done. Using this button here, I can upload respondents. This particular page is the HR portal to set up performance appraisal cycle. So I can come here and upload respondents for each employee for 360 degrees right here. And to upload, you have to upload from CSV, and it must be employee ID of the reviewer, employee ID of the reviewee, employee ID of the reviewer, the period, and the company. You put that in and you upload them in. And the moment you've uploaded them in, you have the 360 degrees respondents for each employee assigned already. And the last thing in the setup for the performance management module of the GS HRM application is the preference. Now, preference are actually options. Let's go through the options together and you will be able to get a better grasp of what I'm actually talking about. So I go back to HR admin and I click on performance and I click on appraisals and I click on appraisal preference. The moment I click on the appraisal preference, the preference form comes up. This is the only one I've created, ABC. And I've not created the preference. So current appraisal, this is the only appraisal cycle I have in there. So I click on it. So would I want reviewer 1 comment to be visible to reviewee? If I say yes, then the reviewee can see the comments of the reviewer 1. If I say no, they can't see it. So let me say yes, so that while doing this, and when the reviewee is done and the reviewer has assessed, the reviewee can go back and check the comments of the reviewer 1. Would I want reviewer 2 comment to be visible to reviewee? Yes or no, you determine. Status of the current appraisal cycle, open or closed, you determine. And also, would I want employee to be able to view the line manager's performance objective? Yes or no? I say yes or no. Here I'm saying a yes, and the moment I've said that, I click on save and update. The moment I say save and update, this cycle is ready to go. At this point, all the employees within the company can start doing their objective setting, objective review with their line managers, feedbacks, and also at the end of the review cycle, a feedback review with the line managers. Thank you very much. Hoping to see you in the next session. In the next session, I'll be looking at the workflow. I'll be taking an example workflow based on what we have set up here together for the performance management module. Thank you and see you later on. Bye.